Today, we emphasize the critical importance of the women, peace, and security agenda. Empowering women and their active participation in peace-building efforts is essential. Women possess unique perspectives and solutions that can lead to more sustainable and inclusive peace processes.
I would wish, first of all, to thank you, Your Excellency, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and through you, the government and the people of Uganda for the invitation to participate in this meeting and for the warm welcome as well as the hospitality that was extended to my delegation from the time we arrived in the Pearl of Africa. I would also wish to commend the efforts of the outgoing President Évariste Ndayishimiye, champion of the African Union for Youth, Peace and Security from the 11th Rome meeting in Bujumbura in Burundi that was concentrated on the revitalization of the framework agreement for the DRC and the region. It is here where we need to commend and welcome the efforts of all those that have participated, and through these efforts we have been able to come up with a plan of action for the revitalization of the framework agreement after the decision of the Peace and Security Council of the African Union in Addis Ababa in 2023, 10 years after the signing of this framework agreement in 2013.
I would like to call upon collective commitment so that we may obtain immediate ceasefire between the parties at war, so that we may be able to deliver humanitarian relief to the people living in that area, and that will give chance to negotiations towards peace. I would like to call up for following the disposals of provisions of the resolution 2773 of 2025 of the Security Council, which should constitute our guidelines in order to get out of this crisis. I would like to take this occasion to commend the continued mobilization of multilateral organizations in Africa, illustrated by the nomination of President Faure Nyasimbe of Togo as mediator of the African Union for the crisis between the DRC and Rwanda, as well as the joint initiative of the East African Community and SADC, which appointed a college of facilitators, including 2 excellencies. Ladies and gentlemen, 12 years have passed after the signature of the framework agreement undertaken the 24th of February 2013 in Addis Ababa. This agreement has the main objective of putting an end to armed conflict in the east of the DRC and resolve the causes of violence and war, repetitive wars in the region. It's also intended to establish sustainable peace, to strengthen security and promote regional cooperation for peace and sustainable development. Since its signature in 2013, and particularly since the last summit of the mechanism of its implementation held in Bujumbura in 2023, we have gone through a lot of problems. In fact, war became more devastating than before. The beginning of this year, 2025, was marked by a grave situation with the resurgency of war started by M23, supported by Rwanda. The conquering and occupation of Congolese territories in the east and the occupation of the airport of Goma and Bukavu and whereas blockade and destruction of infrastructure caused disastrous consequences. Massacres, mass violations of human rights, refugees, displaced people, impoverishment of populations, and jeopardizing economic activities, lootings, etc. Situation which is changing from bad to worse for as long as the war continues. Regional and international efforts in support to the Congolese government for the establishment of peace have not given any satisfactory results, The East African community, which had marked some steps in looking for a Pacific solution, found problems with the lack of will of M23 and was not unable to finish its work. I myself also, as president of the summit of the head of state for the Committee of East Africa, I met so many times people responsible for M23 in Bujumbura to look together for a solution to put an end to the conflict. But when we are starting on a peace process, the war continued all the time, and the regional force was obliged to leave the place, living in a place Uganda and Burundi, which are acting side by side with the government of the DRC.
We had a long discussion inside among ourselves. And I was telling the Excellency that I had been watching the situation in Africa as a close observer and also a participant for the last 65 years. Because he thinks the internal forces don't matter, we the neighbors don't matter, what matters are the foreigners who are supporting them. This really, you better focus on that. Because otherwise, why was Mobutu not listening? We were here, we could have helped him. So, that's how now the problem of Rwanda gets linked to the problem of Congo. When the Tutsis organized and attacked the Hutus in Goma, and then it led to the collapse of Mobutu. So that is this whole story. But it is solvable, because here in Uganda we solved it. We had the same problems. Sectarianism of religion, sectarianism of tribes. So we had a long discussion when we were inside there. I want to congratulate again His Excellency for the good work he has done. You had the elaborate report he gave. We are now going to, we know what the problem is. This can be solved. All of them, we sit here, we can solve them. Because this is, we are ancient people of this area. We are not new arrivals. There's nothing we don't know about all these countries, Rwanda, Burundi, Eastern Congo, Tanzania, Kenya. These are our people. So therefore, let's really solve this problem. It is easy. In my opinion, these problems are easy to solve. They are not difficult. What is difficult is three mistakes: philosophy, ideology, strategy. Once you make those mistakes on those three, then that's how a small problem becomes a big problem. So I thank everybody for coming, responding to our invitation, and I thank His Excellency Ndayishimiye for shepherding this work in the last 2 years. So let's see what we are going to do in this phase, because we know what the problem is. and it can be solved. But Africans don't die. They are very strong. They don't die easily. Other people who are colonized, they perished. If you go to America, where the indigenous Indians, they are not there. There are very few. South America, the same. But here, we didn't die, we survived. Our genes, and our culture, because we had a culture of having cows and goats and chicken, and staying with us in our houses. So they were immunizing us. Our cows were immunizing us against the sicknesses. So when the Europeans came, we couldn't die. Slave trade, colonialism, but we survived. And we organized it. ANC was founded in 1912. They were the first modern organization of resistance. And we chased the invaders. But we still have these weaknesses, which really we should share. Frankly, when we have time. Why do you believe in tribalism? Sectarianism of tribe, religion. How will you create prosperity for your people? If you look at the Americas, South America is very rich in terms of natural resources. They have got, I think they are even richer than the United States. They have big rivers there, the Amazon. They have big forests, minerals, agriculture. They have everything in South America, Latin America. But USA is more prosperous than South America. Why? If it is natural resources, South America should be more prosperous than the USA. But the difference, in my opinion, is the way the Americans organized themselves to form a big market. They united those colonies of the British, 13 of them initially, then they kept adding. Now they have got 50 states. Now, if you are in that situation, it is easier for you if you are a wealth creator, you are a businessman. In New York, you produce something and it is sold all the way to California. It is much easier for you to succeed as a businessman. So therefore, really all these conflicts, when we meet, we talk about procedural things, this one here, this one here, but the big problem is ideology. These wars are caused by ideological limitation. So, my advice, because that's what was the problem of Uganda. Uganda was a failed state. People had no food in 1986, people had no food, shortages. No sugar, no soap, no salt, no paraffin in the shop. The problem was ideological. So we can talk about the mechanism, these procedural things, but we should also go deeper, in my opinion. And some of these foundations, like Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation, could be linked up with the secretariat or the ICAGR to do some analysis. It's not just diplomacy, it is really ideology. So I'm very glad that you came and we have had this meeting. And I can firmly tell you that it is easy to solve this problem. Like, for instance, if the government of Congo and Rwanda could, the way we had started with this East African community, if they had stayed with us, together we would have solved this problem. But the East African effort was set aside. Because we have facts. Nobody can deceive me about any of these areas, because we know. But when you bring people who don't know, they just run with one little thing here. That's my, I don't have prepared speeches, but this is what I would want to comment to you.
With inclusion of only one, which was fresh and proposed by Republic of Angola, which is 30, finally agreed to meet again. 29, recognize that there cannot be economic development in the region without peace, and stress the importance of peace